What scares you as an adult that didn't bother you as a kid? I bought a house a couple years ago. Literally everything scares me now. It's raining. Probably gonna flood the basement. Windy. Trees gonna fall on the house. Weird smell. Probably an electrical fire. Leave the house for literally 5 minutes. Obviously going to explode due to a gas leak. Signs of aging. When you're a kid. Getting older means new and exciting changes. When you're in your 30s plus. Needing help or advice. I'm a grown adult now. 34. And my mom and dad have since passed on. When I run into a problem with an appliance or a home repair or need help with a recipe, it always takes me a minute to remember they aren't here anymore. Really sucks having no one to lean on when things get hard. My mom used to just give me $100 without question when I'd be hard up for money. No more bank of mom. If I run out of money now I'm just f-ked until payday. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words and advice. Traveling in a car. Especially if I'm not the one driving. Jumping down from a height greater than a few feet. As a kid I could jump off a roof and roll with it. Nowadays if I land funny I fear I'll be paralyzed for life. A tooth falling out. As a kid it was gross. Funny and painful all at once. As an adult. Horrifying. Other people's driving. I can barely sit through a car ride with my dad now without grabbing the OSHT bar. My parents' mortality. I've already done the please don't die before I get to the hospital plane flight. Thankfully that was not the case. For now. Head injuries. As a kid. I thought broken bones were the big thing to worry about. Because I could visualize what that was. I had no sense for the severity of brain injuries. As an adult. Protecting my noggin is my #1 injury concern. Because the human machine don't work with a damaged processor. Getting out of bed in the morning after you slept in the wrong position. Me. It's nice to finally get 8 hours of sleep. My body. How easily your life can start going downhill. Lack of time. As a kid. Felt like I had all the time in the world. As an adult. I feel like I have no time to do anything other than work. Roller coasters. I used to ride them all summer long because I had a Six Flags summer pass. I went a few years ago with my younger sister. It wasn't fun anymore. I just kept feeling like I was going to die. I ended up holding purses. And keeping my feet on the ground. I never understood why my mom would just wait for me. But I get it now. Edit. Thanks for the awards. I had no fear of U-Hauls until I rented a U-Haul. I filled out all of my information online and they gave me the keys to a 27-foot box truck. No training. No anything. They'll just let anyone take these massive vehicles and drive them off the lot. Give them a wide berth. My biggest fear is that I'll end up requiring care by others when I grow older. I'd rather die before that. Also being stuck in my country and forced to live a mediocre life. I just turned 32 and I've been basically paraplegic for 4 years and it's awful. I wish I would just die. I feel like an anchor around the necks of everyone I love. They would mourn but then they could just live their lives instead of carrying me around. Butterflies. I don't get it either. Oh. And teenagers. I think everybody's scared of teenagers. Even teenagers. Honestly. Just getting older. I'm only 36 but I just don't want to be an old person. I fear my daughter is already starting to see me that way. But I do everything I can to fight it. One disc in my back is permanently injured from a car wreck 12 years ago. One knee is bad from playing with a nephew 14 years ago. I want to be the strong hero my daughter needs as she grows up but I fear these will really catch up to me in the coming years. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the kind words and reminding me that I'll be my daughter's hero no matter what. Squishy or strong. Edit 2. Okay, normally I hate edits but wanted to add this. At bedtime I talk to her about how I love that she says I'm her hero. But sometimes I feel old, and will she still feel the same when I'm not as strong as I am now? She just told me as long as you are strong enough to swing the small sledgehammer. Because even I can do that and I'm just a kid. I love that little girl. Garage door springs. Honestly. Death. Never really thought about it as a kid. Think about it way too much as an adult. Edit. Weirdly comforting to see I'm not the only one. Thank you for the awards. I hope you figure out how to get past the fear of what is inevitable as well. Owning a home. I am only slightly exaggerating when I say that I wake up every day fully expecting some new and expensive catastrophe to unfold. Anesthesia. As a kid, I was led to believe that it was something magical that happened to you when you got your tonsils out. And then afterwards, you could eat all the ice cream you wanted. Now that I've had it as an adult and know that there's always a possibility it could go horribly wrong, I get really antsy and scared just thinking about it. Anything related to going to the hospital. When I was a kid, I was always in the emergency room with a deep cut or broken bone. Now that I realize it isn't as free as I thought it was when I was a kid, I'll make any excuse to not go to the hospital. Case in point. My wife, before we were married, went to the ER with severe abdominal pains and found out she had an infection in her gallbladder. So they removed it. Her hospital bill, because she went out of network and had an ER visit, was over $80. 000. Meanwhile, I probably would have just died because I would have crunched down 100 Imodium before visiting the hospital. I was the most outgoing kid ever. I'd just go straight to the playground and blurt out to the first person I met, "Hey, wanna be friends?" Full stop. I was loud, energetic, social, and pretty much had no fears at all. I can't believe how I used to be that outgoing as a child. Being in large crowds. Deep water. I learned to swim in it by essentially jumping into a pool on holiday as all the other kids were in the pool and didn't want to be left out. Now for some reason, if I'm in water and it reaches my chest, I'm struck by an absolute rising sense of dread. My breathing gets shallow and I feel so uneasy and upset I have to get into shallower water to be calm again. I used to love flying as a kid. Then, when I was late teens young adult, I was on a particularly turbulent flight for hours over the ocean and thought we were going to crash. For years after that, I couldn't fly without anxiety. I didn't want to look out the window. I'd close my eyes and mutter through turbulence, etc. Then, inexplicably, I chose a career as a flyer in the Air Force. That helped to get me over my fear of flying pretty well. I was crazy on bicycles when I was a kid. I'd jump anything, anywhere, on a little tiny bike, crashing spectacularly like we all did in the 70s. Now, I have a bike with suspension that rivals a motocross bike. And this very bike can handle obstacles that off-road trucks might have issues with. And I ride around never leaving the earth. With a helmet. And enough other stuff on I can literally play football. Financial emergency 100%. When you're a kid you don't think about things like this. You could be off of work due to injury for 2 months and lose everything you worked hard for, even if you were doing everything right financially. The final realization that the path you're on, career, wife, skills, friends, will be the one you travel until retirement. It's like, welp, only 30 years to go. This is my life now. Not being prepared for retirement. Not being insured. Literally can't get sick or into an accident because it will cripple me right now. So I just stay home. Phone calls. I used to call people all the time as a kid. Now I'm terrified of them and get anxiety attacks every time I have to call a non-family member. I'm slowly learning to manage by writing everything down I want to say so I don't go blank. The reality of how fleeting life is. And I don't mean in the cliche registered sign live life to the fullest. I mean in the way that life really does pass quickly. I'm 3 years into college and I still feel like I graduated high school last year. Every now and then someone will mention the new class graduating and I have no idea who they are. Or when people I graduated with come into my work and it hits me. I haven't seen them in 3 years. When I was younger, I couldn't wait to grow up. To live on my own. Travel. See the world. Have a bunch of friends. Have a real job. Now life is real. And it's passing quick. And realities are starting to set in that in order to do all the things I want to do while I'm young, I better have an excellent paying job. Because time is passing and it isn't waiting for me. The fact that our leaders don't really know what they are doing and that they use their position for self-benefit. Bills. I didn't know what they were when I was a kid. But now whenever I hear the word, I shudder. One syllable names freak me the FCK out. Mild chronic pain. Responsibility. No joke. Being a father and husband and providing for them is scary when your job isn't very good. Driving. Each time I go out onto the road I get more and more scared to go back. I'm only 19. How is 90% of this species so reckless that they can manage to scare a 19-year-old off the road? The reason I pay so much extra for insurance is because I'm supposed to be the one doing that. But all middle-aged senior citizens that think they own every inch of the road are beating me to it. Money management. It's not easy being a student and managing my tiny pocket money never bothered me when I was younger. Losing my job. Since obviously I didn't have, or need, a job as a kid to keep a roof over my head and food on the table. I've been laid off twice, once just before Christmas. So now I dislike Christmas. I've quit a job once when my company was being taken over. I was a contractor. And usually those are the first to go in a merger. And I quit another time when my manager was a raging bitch perfectionist helicopter boss and the writing was on the board. I'm in a great job right now, the best I've ever had. And just survived a layoff round. I keep waiting for the luck with this job to wear off. And I'm looking yet again. Medical debt. As a kid I'd take any dare because I wasn't the one that got the bill if there were negative consequences. Sneezing with a mouthful of Weetabix. Everything. Being an adult really sucks. Yes, I love my so and my puppy boys, but damn if I don't miss being a naive child. Black holes and time. Closing the bedroom window at night. Why are you scared of closing the window? Wouldn't it be the other way round? I was never afraid of huge lorries, concrete traffic barriers, or bridges when I was young. But once I started driving, those things started making me incredibly nervous. Especially bridges. One time I had to drive across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and I literally cried the whole way there and the whole way back. This was only a year ago and I'm 33 years old. Cancer. Taxes. I originally read that as Texas and I was like, yeah, I can see that. The reality, which was taxes, is far scarier. Politicians. People became more scary than snakes for some reason. Heights. So, I am a teenager, so I don't really know if I have a right to comment here. But here goes nothing. When I was younger, I never really thought of future. Now, it terrifies me. Like, what if I get into college that wasn't right for me and it messes up my career? What if I never get to travel and do some interesting stuff I really want to try? What if I end up living that average lifestyle that is making me unhappy right now? What if I never experience any form of love that I've been searching for so desperately for almost 10 years now? Future. Or, to be precise, how unpredictable the future is, scares the living daylights out of me. People. Or how brutal people can be. I've seen stabbings, shootings, rapes, and others. And while I've matured quite a bit because of it, a lot of people my age still have that innocent mindset in a way. I didn't really consider the idea Americans might popularly reject democracy and try to install theocratic dictatorship. Being stalked. Never gave a second thought about and thought it was cool to have someone like you that much. Now it's my absolute worst fear. Along with getting in trouble with the law. And police officers. Children. Or frankly anyone for whom I bear responsibility. Doing dangerous stuff of any type. Stop having fun you little shts. It isn't worth it. I knew a few kids that like to have fun. A bunch of them are dead and a couple are paralyzed. Basically my risk reward calculus has moved far into the it isn't worth it range. Roller coasters. Literally so many things. Cycling. Unemployment. Cancer. Old age. Driving fast. Disability. Migraines. Power tools. Back pain. I miss the days of blissful ignorance. Adulting in general. When I was young, I was excited to grow up and live independently and have a job and car and do things adults do. Now I know why kids have more carefree attitudes. Because they are so much more free of cares. TW self-harm. Infections. I used to self-harm all the time with all sorts of unsanitary items and then pick out the scars and never worried about the risk of infection, but now in time I get even the slightest graze. I'm straight on it with the Savlon. I've had sepsis from a kidney infection and thought I was gonna die, so now I take it super seriously and get paranoid anytime I feel a bit warm and sickly in case it's an infection. Traveling to different countries. The future. Home invasions. It's my worst nightmare. Serial killers. They're everywhere and crafty. And all seems well until they have you right where they want you. As a kid, it never really entered my mind much that people can be so evil. Who the FCK gave this a wholesome award? Homelessness. Thanks American healthcare system. Having sex in a high school bathroom. Huh. As a 54-year-old man. This sounds absolutely terrifying. The government.